Joining me right now is Indiana Senator Mike Braun. He's a member of the Budget, Agriculture, and Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committees. Senator, it's great to see you this morning. Thanks so much for being here.
Good morning.
So now that these talks are dragging on and we're at a stalemate, people are going to start questioning what it's going to take to keep the Republicans together. Senator, what are your thoughts in terms of what kind of wiggle room the Republicans have in terms of pushing back on President Biden, who says no spending cuts without revenue raised, meaning tax increases?
So, Marie, I've been here a little over 4.5 years, and I come from the world of making ends meet, running a business in a state government. This only happens in one place, D.C. This is punctuated this time with just a little more drama that is necessary about reforming the system. You got to go back to how this started. Started basically a little over 2 decades ago when we were $5 trillion in debt. The Bush administration added $5 trillion to it. The Obama $6 trillion. It's been a borrowing and spending frenzy ever since, both Democrats and Republicans. Generally, the status quo likes it the way it is because they then dump these big omnibus bills in your lap with 2 days to read them when you're really up against the deadline. We've got to do something different. Kevin McCarthy has been out there because I think he's been held accountable by 30 or 40 fiscal conservatives in the House. This is different. Mitch McConnell, heard him earlier today, we won't default, we'll get it done. But the real issue is, will we change anything going forward other than borrowing money from our kids and grandkids for your latest and greatest political adventure?
I mean, the longer this continues without a resolution, some people say that we're going to have to see a temporary hike, perhaps until October or several weeks. Is that on the table?
So I think, number one, on this X date, real quickly, that is that's not a hard date. The default in any other place would be when you don't make your bank principal or interest payment. We've got plenty of coverage for this. When it comes to doing anything between now and the end of the fiscal year, I would wonder, are we going to do any budgeting? Are we going to do anything that actually takes whatever this deal might be, which I hope we get most of it. If not, we're on the pathway of adding another $20 trillion in debt. This just knocks it back a little under $5 trillion. So I think there'll be something done. I think there will be a bipartisan deal that approves it. And the question is, what do we do in the long run? Is this temporary, or do we really get this country back on track?
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned the long run, because you have a new report on the aging workforce. You have found 43% of retirees who are considering going back to work are doing so because of inflation. Inflation remains elevated, even if it is off of the highs of the last year. Your thoughts?
So inflation was the nasty that got out of the bag when the political enterprising occurred on top of what we did during COVID. We shut the economy down. You dumped all that fiscal stimulus in. That was guaranteed to start some inflation. The Democrats doubled down on it over the last 2 years. Thank goodness we got the House back and put a tourniquet on that craziness. Last time this occurred, it took 5 years to get it back in the box. So, yes, retirement is now in jeopardy. Not only that, look at ESG, where they're trying to direct you into something other than the best return.
Yeah.
It's bringing people back into the workforce because they're uncertain now what the future looks like. Go back to pre-COVID, look how good it was working. It's not hard to figure out what we need to do. Do we have the discipline to do it? That's what I've seen lacking since I've been here.
Well, I mean, I see the Senate lacking a little. How come we're not hearing anything from the Senate in terms of this debt ceiling debate?
I think here, Leader McConnell on our side, Schumer, is in a tougher spot because he knows that he and the Democrats, Biden administration, have given us the inflation where they doubled down on it. And I think McConnell took the point of view that has to be worked out between the House and the president. Little risky. I think that'll get done, but see through the smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
What are we going to do after it's all over? Are we going to go back and morph into the same approach? The Medicare Trust Fund goes broke in 4 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Social Security, about 9 or 10 years. And Maria, we've known it for decades. Not to mention the crowding out effect of interest, where soon we'll be paying as much interest as we do on all discretionary spending, domestic and defense.
Yeah,
it's a sad picture.
Yeah,
generations.
$10 trillion in interest in the next 10 years expected. It's just incredible. I know you're leading a bipartisan effort asking the FTC what it's doing to protect elderly Americans from AI voice scams. So I want to get to that real quickly because we're running out of time. So artificial intelligence is able to take on someone's voice and they're scamming seniors?
Senator Blumenthal did it in a committee hearing and then said, that's not me, that's AI.
Wow.
I've never seen anything, been in the entrepreneurial business world for my career, where a new technology is being forewarned about the nefarious, ominous aspects of it by the people that have created it.
What?
We better be careful with it because we don't know whether it's going to be good or bad. And from everything I've seen, be careful before we unleash it.
Yeah, and the Chinese Communist Party wants to beat us at that, too. So if they're first, and we don't know where they'll take it as well, more threats there. Senator, it's a really good topic to raise, and I'm glad we discussed it. We'll be watching it. Thanks very much for being here this morning.